When we think about the big stages of parenting, our brains usually jump from, say, the toddler years right over to the teens. But what about that super important time right in the middle? We're talking about middle childhood, those elementary school years from about age 6 to 11. It's this often overlooked but, wow, incredibly formative period where the real groundwork for mental health and future success gets laid down. So to really get what's going on, let's talk about a kid named Marco. He's so excited for first grade, loves to learn, but it's tough. His enthusiasm means he just blurts things out, forgetting the new rule about raising his hand. And every time he gets a yellow card, he feels hurt and embarrassed. His story just shows how even a great kid is suddenly in a whole new world with a whole new rule book, and it leaves parents wondering, how do I help them through this?
And it is a whole new world. It's not just the classroom. As our kids step into this stage, their entire universe just expands. And that means we, as parents, had this really complex job of guiding them through all these new social and academic challenges.
Yeah, this expansion is way more than just homework. Suddenly, peer groups get a lot more complicated. This is often the age they first bump into social media and are exposed to way more media in general. And all of this is happening at the exact same time their need for independence is just skyrocketing. So you can see why this calls for a slightly different, more refined set of parenting strategies. Okay, so what's in this evolving toolkit? Well, the research points to a few core evidence-based skills that really work wonders during these years. And it all starts with the very foundation of your relationship with your child. That foundation is what we call parental warmth. And look, this isn't just about being nice. It's about creating this really secure, accepting relationship. Think about a mom just spending 15 minutes building Legos with her son. That simple, focused time creates a safe space where he feels like he can actually share his struggles, knowing his feelings aren't going to be dismissed. That right there, that's warmth in action. All right, next up is monitoring. And I know, that word can get a bad rap. But this isn't about being a spy or being controlling. It's really about staying engaged and, frankly, protecting our kids as they start to navigate these new freedoms. In middle childhood, that means knowing who their friends are, what they're up to after school, and, this is a big one, how they're using media and the internet. Another huge skill is something called scaffolding. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like teaching a kid to ride a bike. You start with training wheels, right? Then you're holding the back of the seat, and eventually, you let go. Scaffolding is the parenting version of that. You give just enough guidance to help your kid build their own problem-solving and emotional skills, so they can eventually manage things all by themselves. Now this might just be one of the most important jobs of middle childhood, emotion socialization. It's basically the process of teaching kids how to understand, talk about, and handle their feelings. How we as parents react to their emotions, especially the tough ones like anger or sadness, that becomes the blueprint for their entire emotional life. And it really comes down to this: a supportive response versus a non-supportive one. Just validating a feeling, saying something like, "Wow, I can see you're really hurt by that." That teaches a child that their feelings are real and okay. But minimizing it with, "Oh, it's not a big deal," or even punishing the emotion, that can actually get in the way of them learning how to cope on their own. But of course, none of this happens in a vacuum, right? Parenting isn't a bubble. A parent and a child are always part of this much, much bigger web of influences. Researchers have a name for this. It's called the bioecological model. You can kind of picture it like those Russian nesting dolls. It all starts with the child's own innate temperament. Then you have the parent and family context, the financial situation, then the school and their friends, and then the even broader culture they live in. So effective parenting isn't just about one person's actions. It's about navigating all these interconnected layers. And culture plays a really fascinating role here. There was this one study that found that while minimizing a child's negative emotions was linked to behavior problems in European American kids, that same effect just didn't show up in a group of Chinese immigrant children. So why is that? Well, researchers think it might be because in that cultural context, it's seen as an important lesson about social harmony. It's just a powerful reminder that there isn't one single right way to parent for everyone on Earth. So, when parents do use this toolkit effectively, what actually happens? What's the result? Well, they are literally laying the building blocks for their child's future success and their well-being. And the connections here are just so clear. I mean, look at this. When parents give warmth and have consistent limits, they help their kids build self-regulation. And what does that lead to? Doing better in school. When they focus on that emotion socialization we talked about, kids get better at coping, which predicts lower rates of anxiety and depression later on. It's a really direct and powerful chain reaction. And the research is so clear on this. This is not just about mothers. Paternal involvement has its own unique and really significant impact. A father's involvement can actually predict reading and math skills. The amount of time he spends with his kids is linked to their self-worth. And get this, even his style of giving advice can predict how socially competent they are a year later. So, ultimately, positive parenting isn't some magic bullet for just one thing. It creates this broad, positive ripple effect across a whole range of interconnected skills, from social skills and self-esteem to doing better in school and having fewer behavior problems. It's really about helping to raise a well-rounded, resilient kid. All right, now for what I think is maybe the most empowering message from all of this research. It is a message of hope, and it's all about the power of change. Positive parenting acts as an incredibly powerful protective force. The research shows over and over again that it can actually buffer children from the negative effects of stress and adversity, whether that stress comes from financial hardship or other challenges in the family. And this brings us right to the core takeaway. Parenting is malleable. It can be changed, it can be learned and improved. It is never too late to make some positive shifts. And when parents stick with those positive behaviors, especially when things are tough, the research shows it has a real, measurable, protective effect on their children's future. So as your child's world gets bigger and way more complex, just remember that it's those small moments of connection that build that protective warmth. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what's just one conversation you can start today to strengthen that connection?